Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode on deck here on FTSN. I'm Russ Morgan. I got a little on deck gear from my parents made this for me for nice little gear to go out to some spring training games and wear on the podcast. Anthony, how we doing? Hope everyone's doing good tonight. Talking a little NL East preview. Yes, I already see the Yankees questions coming in hot, Anthony. Obviously, being a Yankees fan, it hasn't been a great spring so far. Stanton's going down. I think Stanton was kind of, in my opinion, I think Stanton, after we saw last year, even how great Stanton hit in the playoffs, I think are starting to see. We've been recently seeing the decline of his body, and that kind of happens because he's a big dude, really big dude. But in what was it, Game 3? He's around in third, and he looks like he's on a leisurely jog. I think he's just done. I don't think he's got anything left in the tank. I think he's still hit, but his body is just breaking down. On the Cole stuff, the Yankees just getting hit with that bug. It's terrible. Hasn't been good. Obviously, Luis Heel for at least 3 months, which rookie of the year. But I on the heel stuff, I wasn't as surprised because the guy has had a lot of elbow problems in his past. Obviously, he's a 26-year-old rookie. He already had TJ last year, so I wasn't as surprised with the heel stuff. The Cole stuff did come out a little shocker to me. I was a little shocked on that. I think he ramped it up too quick, honestly. And I think he ramped it up too quick. For the Yankees' perspective, they're going to have to. Luckily, they didn't trade Marcus Stroman, but if they're going to want to stay in that World Series contention, they're going to have to add someone because I'm high on I think Fried, who's had injury history too, who's had injury history too. I think Rondon's had injury history. Thank God they kept Stroman. Clark Schmidt's had injury history, and then I'm really banking on Will Warren, who was a guy they're really high on, a guy I like. Obviously, didn't have a great start yesterday's, but looked pretty good in the spring so far. The other day gave up 2 runs. What do you say? He struggled finding the zone. So I think they're going to have to go out there and look and spend. And unfortunately, in the Yankees case, they're kind of bent over the barrel. The teams that are going to be, I get to Marlins and Yankees fan there. The teams that the Yankees are going to go for, they're going to know they're kind of in a desperate situation. That's why it's going to be tough. You look at, in my opinion, I'd rather, as great as Sandy Alcantara is, and he's looked very good this spring. I would rather, if they're going to make a move now, I'd rather try to go through Cease or King. Unfortunately, they had to trade Michael King, a guy they didn't want to trade in that Soto deal, but they had to get rid of him to facilitate that deal to get Soto. Because I had my issues with Soto last year, but they definitely needed Soto to get to the World Series. Unfortunately, I think that would be a better one. I think they're going to go into the season with what they got, and so you're going to have Will Warren in that 5th. Stroman will be there. Unfortunately, their top pitching prospect Chase Hampton, he's down with Tommy John too. So that's that'd be another guy who would fit in there nicely, which would be nice. But let me get to this. What scares me about Alcantara, Sandy Alcantara is the TJ does scare me. I want to see him ramp it up a little bit, which they're saying he's already on an innings limit that first half of the season or first couple of months maybe. But like I was talking to my father, who's a baseball guy too. we usually see when these guys come back the year after Tommy John surgery, they get stronger. And me being a baseball guy, the reason these guys get stronger when they come back from Tommy John surgery is because they're giving you a brand new tendon here. So I mean, like, I know for me, who played baseball for 25 years, my tendon is worn down. So they're taking a tendon from your leg that's not important and putting it into your elbow. So you're getting brand new elastic in there. So that's why we definitely see these guys who are who are better when they come off with Tommy John surgery. But it does scare me with that TJ. So I'd like to see a little more work from Alcantara. I would love King or Cease. I'd actually like King, being a guy who's in the system. The problem is both those guys are going to come at a high prospect price. I don't know what the Yankees are willing to offer. I'd hope they go out. I don't know if they want to give a Spencer Jones away right now. And I think that would be the case. So I think if they do look, they'd probably look at the free agent market, which is very thin. You know, Kyle Gibson type of guy. I'd look at maybe a Sonny Gray. I know what people would say about Gray. We've been there, done that. Maybe an Eric Fetty. But I mean, on the big trade markets, the Alcantaras, the Cease, the King. Unfortunately, the Yankees are bent over a barrel, and all these teams, 29 other teams in the MLB. Well, I'll say 28 because the Red Sox ain't trading with us, or anybody in the East is going to be trading with us. They know the Yankees are in a desperate situation. So I mean, I'd like to see more from Alcantara. I'd like King or Cease, but I know that's going to be coming at a high prospect price, and I would probably for sure you would probably have to put George Lombardo or Roderick Arias in there as a starter. But although all these other teams know the Yankees are in a desperate situation to add, so I don't see Alcantara moving for a while with the Marlins. I think once they do, they're definitely in the sell mode. They would probably go deadline, but I don't see that happening. But I mean, they're bent over a barrel, and I've said that. But everybody knows it's going to be a rough situation. But Stroman's going to have to pick it up, and I guess he was right. He was a starter, and he is a starter. Will Warren's going to have to pick up that fifth spot, which he's looked good in the spring. But it's been a rough spring. Maybe it was because the Yankees changed their beard. Once they changed their facial hair policy, everything went downhill for the Yankees. What do you think, Anthony? Keep the facial hair policy, clean cut. I like a clean cut look on the field. Ever since they changed that, everybody started getting hurt. So maybe they should just put it back in, and everybody, no more injuries. But kicking it off with the NL East preview, Phillies won the NL East at 95-67, lost to the Mets in the NLDS. On the offseason side, pretty quiet, didn't make too many big splashes, picked up Jesus Loardo from Miami. They got Max Kepler from Minnesota, Joe Ross, Kepler. Loardo and Kepler will fit in nicely. They did lose a couple players, Austin Hayes, who's part of that, with the Orioles, a midseason trade deadline acquisition. Carlos Estevez, who was, a massive piece of that deadline acquisition. He's now with the Royals, will be the closer. So that's a little hit to the pen. But on the offensive side for the Phillies, definitely maintained. Nobody you kept everybody. They got an offensive side they maintained. You had Kepler, could slot into that left or right field spot. Offense obviously headlined by Bryce Harper, 285 last year. I'm an old school guy. I like on-base percentage. OPS not as much. 373 on base, 575 slugging, 30 home runs, 87 RBI. So we'll you guys solid. Looking back as a Yankees fan now, looking back, what was it? I wish they kind of signed Harper back in the day, but that's can't really do anything about that now. Still got Trey Turner at short, with all these great shortstops, Trey Turner's still one of the better shortstops in the game. 295 average, 338 on-base percentage. Trey Turner's solid defensively. You still got Alex Baum, who battled those. Was a guy seriously in trade deadline or trade talks all year and never really got that going. No one bit, but I mean, this guy batted 280, very strong defensively, very strong defensive third baseman. So I was a little surprised. You still have, you still have Bryson Stott, 245, so you'll get another solid year, but that's a solid double play combo for them up the middle. Outfield, you got Nick Castellanos, 254, 23 home runs, 311 on base, 413 slugging. You got a platoon of Brandon Marsh and Rojas. Rojas 249, or Marsh 249, Rojas 243, and then you add Max Kepler, who will be almost everyday guy out there in the outfield. My big question is, there's been talks, will Bryce Harper move back to the outfield? I think he's pretty solid at first base. I would keep him there. I don't like you got Cody Clemens there behind him that you can make. He's having a good spring, but I think he's solid at first base. So my big question is, will he move back? Because there's been talks. I mean, the pitching staff is strong. You're headlined by Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler, both Cy Young guys. Wheeler was 16-7, 2.57 ERA. Nola 14-8, 3.07 ERA. The next two returning guys, Ranger Suarez, Crister Sanchez. Suarez was 12-8, started off really hot, came back down to earth, 3.46 ERA. Sanchez 11-9, 3.32 ERA. Newcomer Jesus Lowardo, who was injured last year, only pitched 12 games. But the upside play, I think he slots in nicely there. I'm sorry. I don't know why, Anthony, you're a Marlins. I'm sorry you're a Marlins fan. You guys got a couple World Series, so that's pretty nice on your side. But being a Marlins Yankees fan, how conflicted were you in 2003? Who were you rooting for is my question. Anthony, if you're still in there, Anthony, who are you rooting for 2003 Marlins Yankees? Because, I mean, coming in second in there was the Braves. Offseason, also pretty quiet. Added Jerickson Profar on the other end. Lost a lot of key players. Lost Max Fried to the Yankees. Travis d'Arnaud to the Angels. Charlie Morton to the Orioles. A.J. Minter to the Mets. Gio Urshela to the A's. The offense will be definitely centered around, can Ronald Acuna, can Austin Riley come back? I mean, both big pieces if they want to compete and win the NL East. They need them back. They need them healthy. Riley only 425 at-bats, missed the back half of the season. Acuna, 192 at-bats. He'll miss like the first month. The first month of the season. Need a big season from Matt Olson. Only batted 247, 29 home runs. So, I mean, you need more power numbers from Matt Olson. They got some very poor production from shortstop position. They're going to have to get better. Orlando Arcia only batted 218. Ozzie Albies always solid, looking like one of the better contracts in baseball, 251. But it's all going to, on the offensive side, come down, to Riley and Acuna. Can they come back to make a deep NL playoff push? The outfield, I mean, we'll start off with Michael Harris III. Jerickson Profar was that big offseason acquisition they got. And probably Kelenic will get in there with Acuna out at the start of the year. But on the staff side, I'm not so much. I mean, you lose Max Fried, you lose Charlie Morton. So they're really hoping Chris Hale can build off his unbelievable Cy Young year, 18-3, 2.38 ERA. Spencer Strider coming off a year where he missed. I mean, a Cy Young guy missed a full year. Not expected to start. Not expected to start the year. Start on the injured reserve. Not expected to start, but I mean, when will he come out? The guy for the Braves, I'm really excited to see, was a big part of that World Series rotation was Ian Anderson will finally come back, and he's not listed on the depth chart yet, but I really want to see him because he was a big part of that Braves rotation during the World Series. I mean, rounding out their bullpen, you got Lopez, you got AJ Schwellenbach, and you got Holmes. So I think that back half's got a lot of holes. I'm not sure about that pitching staff. For me, could be wrong. I'm not sure. I think the 1-2 could be nice when Strider comes back, a guy who's a Cy Young guy. But when will he come back is the question. What will he be like? Going down to the Mets. Mets were 89-73. Obviously, got that third wild card on the last day of the season. Obviously, the big acquisition of Juan Soto. Added Soto for 15 for $760 million. Deal can get up to 18. Re-signed Sean Manaea, who's a massive part of that bullpen. I mean, what did I say about starting rotation all the way to the end of the year? You add Frankie Montas, you add Clay Holmes. Thank God he's gone. He's actually looking pretty solid, but the guy drove me nuts as a Yankees fan every time he pitched. And you re-signed Pete Alonso. You also add Jose Siri from the Rays. Infield is relatively the same with Alonso coming back. You're going to have McNeil at second, probably starting with Luis and Angel Acuna. Maybe starting in the minors, but maybe platooning. You're going to have Lindor at short, is one of the best shortstop in baseball. You have Mark Vientos at third with Brett Beatty, was a high guy, who was a guy as a Yankees fan I was thinking maybe try to trade Stroman for because they're down, but now we need pitching. It's a guy I really think he could get some time, but it doesn't sound like he's going to start in the minors. But, you're anchored by Alonso and Lindor. Lindor, 273. 273, 33 home runs, 91 RBIs, 344 on base percentage, 500 slugging, 979 fielding percentage. Alonso on that side, 240, 34 home runs, 88 RBIs, 459. I'm still expecting 30 to 40 home runs because of that Juan Soto protection in the lineup. My real question for the Mets is second base with McNeil and Acuna. McNeil's been off injured kind of this last year. So what did they do with him? Outfield-wise, consistent. You're going to have Brandon Nimmo. The guy's just a consistent ball player. You're going to have Jose Siri and Tyro Taylor there, and then Juan Soto on right. Nimmo was solid, 327, 90 RBIs, 326 on base. Siri and Terrell will platoon, and then, Soto on right. Soto, hell of a year last year, 327, 31 home runs, 469 slugging. Obviously the largest contract in baseball history, and probably one of the best offensive players in baseball. I say offense, I emphasize offense, because you're going to have a massive hole in right field. I'm sorry, coming to you as a pure Yankee fan and a baseball fan, the guy is not good defensively. I don't care if he was in the right field Gold Glove finalist. He's not good defensively. And some of the reasons the Yankees lost the World Series is because of defensively. Now, I think they got better this year because of that, because you added defensive players. You added Cody Bellinger, who's just solid defensive Gold Glove center fielder. You added Paul Goldschmidt, who's a Gold Glove first baseman. I think they got better defensively, and you put Jazz Chisholm in his natural position at second base. But I think that's why it was. If we all remember Game 1, Soto had two big plays in Game 1. Teoscar Hernandez goes down the right field. He misplays the ball. It goes to the wall. They score a run. Was it the sixth or seventh? They go off Ohtani goes off the wall. Instead of him feeling for the wall and playing it off the wall, he tries to make that catch and then gets locked up. He gets locked up. Bad throw. Ohtani on third, sac fly, tying the game up. He's not a good defensive player. I don't care what anybody says. I will die on this hill. He's not a good defensive outfielder. And I think he's a DH in a couple years. If you got another opinion, throw it out. That's my opinion. I could be wrong. He's not a good defensive player. And as a Yankees fan, to a Mets fan, congratulations. You got one of the best offensive players in baseball, but I think he's going to drive you nuts in the outfield. Offensively, unbelievable, but I think he's a DH in about a year or two. I think he's a full-time DH. But, I mean, on the pitching side, I mean, you had Frankie Montas, you had Sean Manaea both starting on the IR. You got Sanga will be your ace, and then you're trying to make Clay Holmes into a starter. So we will see on that side what it happens with that. He's been solid in the spring. He's looked good in the spring. He's looked good in the spring pitching wise, but I mean, it's a guy coming from who's limited roles, coming from the bullpen to now he's going to be pitching full time. Starting. So I don't see it working out, but that's my opinion. I mean, what are they going to do? They got Brandon Sproat, who's been looking good in the spring. Will he get fast tracked up there? I think there's some guys in the Mets system they could flip who are MLB proven ready talent that they could flip for some players. So I think they need to add a pitcher, maybe a bench piece to just get them over the top. I think they need another pitcher, and that would be Jet Williams. What is Jet Williams? Jet Williams is 57. You got Drew Gilbert. You got Ronnie Marcio, who's coming back from an injury. All MLB ready players. I think they're gonna they could flip for some. I think they need pitching. Washington Nationals. I mean, moving down the list, obviously now it's going to get a little more boring because those three, it's unfortunately it's Washington. Hey, they made a lot of moves obviously this offseason. Washington is a team that might surprise some people this year. Obviously, you get Nathaniel Lowe, you got Michael Soroka, so it might surprise some people. But I mean, it's really about upside. Really excited to see Dylan Cruz for a full year. Obviously, this guy who's like Golden Spikes winner with SEC Player of the Year, won the Golden Spikes with LSU. So I'm really excited to see them. Another year, C.J. Abrams. Another year, James Wood. Also, Mackenzie Gore, who was a massive piece of that Soto deal when the Nationals traded them with Padres. So I think it's a lot of upside for the Nationals. I mean, you got Dylan Cruz and a lot of younger guys. I'm excited to see Cruz for a full year. Really excited to see Cruz for a full year. Guy, I loved watching him. His ability is his eye, his contact at the collegiate level, because I love college baseball. So there it is. Moving down to the Marlins. What can I say about the Marlins? Not spending a lot of much money. Obviously, you trade. Who's the guy with the Jake Berger to the Rangers? Then you trade Lowardo to the Phillies. So I don't know what to say about the Marlins. I don't think it's going to be fun, but I think they got some solid upside pieces with Connor Norby, with Kyle Stowers at the deadline. Two guys who were kind of blocked with the Orioles last year that need full time to get going. You have their shortstop. What is it? Edwards is very solid. I think I think they'll be very active at the deadline trying to trade players, and that would be obviously Sandy Alcantara would be definitely one of the guys they'd be looking to ship off and get a nice prospect haul for. Maybe Xavier Edwards, I think is his first name, would a guy to look at. But I mean, they also obviously got some high upside guys. Thomas White, who's 6'5" left-handed pitcher. He's ranked 41 on MLB's top 100 prospect. They got him at 27, but he's got a 60 fastball, 65 slider. I mean, that's solid. And then you got Noah Mayer, who's 6'5" righty, who they project at 26. So next year, what they project was both a 2023 guy, a 2023 draft class. But I think they see August. I think his name is Augustin Ramirez, guy they got from the Yankees last year. I see him getting a lot of time, but I don't think it's going to be good for a Marlins fan base for the next couple of years, unfortunately. But I mean, spring training right around almost done. You know what? We got like 15 more days. Baseball we got next week. In Japan, Tokyo, we got Dodgers, Cubs. So baseball right around the corner, right there. Obviously, being a Yankees fan is tough, but as a pure baseball fan, I'm getting excited. I'm ready to go. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Anthony, thanks for tuning in tonight. Please remember, like, comment, and subscribe. I'm Russ Morgan. This is On Deck here on FTSN. You guys have a great night.